Okay, we're going to start officially. Apologies for starting a few minutes late, but what we want to do is to be to the point. So we've got a few speakers. I'm going to cut a bit of my presentation short as well. I've got just a few slides that anyway I want to show. But first of all, welcome to everyone. This is the first MIIA event at PwC, and we hope there's going to be a lot more. As you can see, it's a beautiful venue. I think I can honestly say I think it's the best venue so far. So we've been in Sandton and Equinox and some other places that are really cool, but this is great. So welcome to everyone, and thanks once again to PwC for hosting us here tonight. So thank you very much. For those that are new to the Machine Intelligence Institute of Africa, that's what we're aiming to do. So what are we? We are an innovative community, an accelerator for machine intelligence and data science research and applications to help transform Africa. So it's very ambitious, but we want to help play a role. So we don't want to be left behind. We want to see what can we do to actually grow the community around AI, data science, machine intelligence technologies, because we realize this is incredibly important technology in the 21st century, in the smart technology era. I like to call it the smart technology era, and we need to help shape it. And people that's interested in this area, we need as many people as possible, and we need as many people to collaborate on this as well. So we've got obviously a lot of innovation, a lot of investments going on in this space in the US, North America, a lot happening in China, because I realize the importance of this. So even the major tech companies are all vying for the AI throne. So data is a new oil. This is an extremely exciting space. So I think it's very important that we take ownership and we say, what can we do with this? And we look at people here to make a difference with this technology. So we want to skill up people. So if you look at the agenda today, this is just some of the sponsors. By the way, this is kind of a slide that I don't know if you've seen the LinkedIn, there was a LinkedIn post where this was the picture, but we actually listed a few events, MIIA events, and I just want to briefly talk about this before we go into the rest of the agenda and introduce the guest speakers as well. And this is just some of the sponsors for some of the events going on. Obviously, PwC right here. We're going to have a few events. There's one, and I'll talk more about that. We're at Launch Lab. That will be our second one there. That's in Stellenbosch. And then we will have a few up in Sandton, and will be sponsored by IBM as well. But anyway, a little bit more about that. So the agenda for tonight, this is what it looks like. We're just going to change the order slightly. So I'm busy already with the introduction, so I'll keep it short. I just want to say maybe a few things. Then we're going to have our next speaker will be Phillip Hattingh from PwC. I'll also introduce him quickly at that point. Then we will have Pierre. Okay, as a matter of fact, I will do the following talk because I just want to finish everything here. Then we'll hand over to Pierre. He's going to talk about the Data Science Academy. Obviously, we want to build capacity. We've got so many people in the MIIA community that's registered on all our social channels, and there's a need for growing that skills. And if you think about the modern data scientists, what's the skills that's required? I think the Data Science Academy is all about making sure that we empower those people and give them the right skills as well. And it's quite interesting. Even one of the companies that I was before, the types of people that's joining the data science community, and this PhD in physics, and there's people from chemical engineering and actuaries and all sorts of different people. Everybody wants to get involved here and use their skills in this space, which is very exciting. Then we've got our final speaker is Currin. Where's Chris? There's Chris. So he's going to talk about AI-based approaches to building chatbots and virtual assistants. And that's, by the way, something that's very close to what we do in Cortex Logic as well, from a company perspective. So anyway, so we're aiming to be done at around 9:15. We kind of keep it interactive. If there's questions, here is there another mic, or if we do questions. Yeah, sorry, 19:15, 7:15. Correct, thanks. The actuary. Okay, then we wanted to move to the rooftop bar, but Yahir mentioned it was rainy and stuff, and we're going to do it here as well. So there's some drinks and light snacks, so you already had some. So, okay, so this is just listing some of the sponsors. Obviously, it is amazing. If there's a pull in the community, just in Africa in general. So we are supporting also other data science organizations across the continent. For instance, Data Science Nigeria, where we are again going to participate. So in January, February, we had a panel of experts from the MIIA community that we were doing a hangout with their team, their bootcamp. There was about 150 prospective data scientists, and we were basically answering questions and providing advice and all sorts of stuff. And we had a whole team on this side. It was really exciting. And now they've got their first Big Data National Summit in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, and they've got a big boot camp there. MTN is one of the executives, they're a big sponsor there, so they're behind that. We're going to participate there as well. So it's quite interesting to get this interaction. There's also in Kenya and some other places as well. So it's growing. So obviously we started here in Cape Town. We're moving out to, there's a meetup in Joburg, Pretoria as well. So we do that there as well. So just some of the upcoming events. I did mention this in some of the email communications. It's also on LinkedIn, where we post a lot of stuff. So the upcoming events is the one at Launch Lab that I've mentioned. The focus is on machine intelligence and applications. Then the whole week that we're going to be in Johannesburg, we've got the Deep Learning Indaba that Google DeepMind is one of the sponsors, and there's a few. Who is going to be there? Chris, you're going to be there? Oh, great. There's a few guys. Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to see you there. There's 300 participants there being selected, so you can feel proud of yourself to be part of that. And what's cool, it's going to be all about deep learning, which is the key technology, really, if you think about the machine intelligence, machine learning toolbox right now, causing a lot of the breakthroughs that's happening. So we're actually going to have a meetup on deep learning and its applications, and we're going to have a deep learning hackathon, our first hackathon, and IBM is a sponsor for that. It's going to be at the IBM Research Lab as well. So looking forward to that. And then there's some upcoming other MIIA partners. So we have obviously partnered with the Africa Data Forum and with some of the other organizations as well. And some of the related events is also indicated there. So quite exciting. There's even, maybe the last point there, I was contacted recently by groups at the circuit that's organizing the inaugural AI Africa conference. That's going to be at the Sandton Convention Center, so we're looking forward to that. That's happening in October. And by the way, one of the events here is executive machine learning, and if you're interested, you're welcome to take a pamphlet. They had a few left, so we said, okay, we'll distribute it here if you're interested. So it's here, and we've got Chris Currin, he's going to present here, and Alex Conway is not here, he's in Germany right now, but he's also presenting, and he's also part of the MIIA community. Okay, so on the previous thing, I actually went to the website straight away, so I just encourage you, if you haven't been there, go to the machineintelligenceafrica.org website. We publish a lot of links, and there's even jobs notifications on the MIIA Slack channel. So if you send your email address to info@machineintelligenceafrica.org, you can join the MIIA Slack channel. That's like WhatsApp for the MIIA community, and you can start using it. It's just tools that's available for the community. Okay, and you will find more details. I'm not going to go through this, but some of the broader aims. I think there's so much more. So we're having a lot of meetups. We've got our first hackathon going, but the intention is also to do some projects and do all sorts of things. And there's problems in Africa to solve. So, and we want to support startups. We want to support corporates anyone that want to help solve some of these problems as well. So the website talks about all of those kind of initiatives as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to hand over to the next speaker, which is Phillip Hattingh. Phillip Hattingh is the head of data analytics Sub-Saharan Africa. So yeah, we've been working with him. So really looking forward to your chat. So he's going to talk about data science and applications. So I'm going to hand over to you straight away. I think this is it. I'm just going to put it on
there. So
okay.
Tools, full screen mode. There we go.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Jacques. I think let me start by thanking all of you, the MIIA community, and then some of our clients for joining us here at PwC. I've shared earlier today with Jacques as well, we're really excited to start participating in this initiative and this community as well, because rightfully, like he said, this is this is an Africa sort of initiative that we need to start driving in growing data scientists, growing the application, the education into businesses and so on. And one thing that we've realized across the journey in working with our clients, that it's all about collaboration. And that's the key thing of why this community has also been established. So what I'm going to share with you tonight, given the topic, is just a bit of the business application of data science. And I'm going to reflect on a couple of research papers, or 2 research papers that we've specifically done. And that will most probably echo, or it will echo, a lot of the work that we do within this space. So I think just to start off with, the typical work that we normally have engaged with in the past was to talk to clients around how fit their businesses and operations are for the digital age. Okay. In many instances, we would innovate with our clients in order to grow businesses, find new business models, and so on. And although these are not new topics, some of our latest research has now shown that the acceleration moving from what we call Industry 3.0, which is sort of the automation of certain parts of processes or processes and a whole is being accelerated, which is now moving to Industry 4.0, which is in essence automating everything and operating within a digital ecosystem. So if you look at the numbers that we've put on the board there, and this has just come from our Industry 4.0 surveys that we've conducted, is that there's a significant revenue potential for organizations shifting to 4.0. And that is obviously linking back to sort of the technology advancements and advanced technology applications. So there's a massive amount of value that's at stake. Okay, and given that, there's obviously associated investments also being made, linked to that. So what is not shown there, and which is contained in this research paper, is that there's a massive acceleration where organizations that are not adopting these sort of technologies or principles are actually really going to be phased out or become non-existent quite soon. Okay, so organizations really need to start focusing and adopting it. So following on that, we also did a study around the economic impact of the application of AI, okay, into the future, obviously linking to Industry 4.0. And with AI being a key driver of automation, or enabler of automation, we found that about 14% of the GDP, global GDP growth, is going to be contributed through the application of the AI in 2030. So you can see the massive impact that AI and the application of that's going to have up to that stage. So if we reflected on Africa, it most probably is around 5.6%, not as aggressive as what we found for the US and for China. There it went up to even much higher, which obviously led to that 14% view. We then further did a further analysis as to determining what those major contributors would be, and those are the ones that we've listed on the right-hand side. And firstly, it links to productivity gains from businesses automating processes, and that contains anything from quality management, improvement of lead times. It includes things like greater utilization of assets, things like preventative maintenance and so on. The second point, productivity gains from business augmentation of intelligence. So that's sort of moving away from preparing data, managing quality and integrity of data, starting providing insights and then interpreting insights. And the last one is the increased consumer demand, resulting from things like when you've got an automated car, self-drive cars, consumers are obviously going to have a lot more time, they're going to have a lot more information a day, so they are going to focus more at personalized sort of products and services for themselves. So that in itself is just going to ramp up significant further customer demand. So we then, you're most probably asking the question, so how do we determine that level of impact? As we defined basically an AI impact assessment or index. And the impact index was determined through 300 use cases that we've determined, which really covered most of the business value chains for 8 focus commercial industries. Okay, and I've listed some of those on the board, and you're more than happy to go into my LinkedIn profile. I've got the full report there. But it basically highlights some of our perspectives on those 300 as to where they're going to impact those industries. It's definitely not by all means a conclusive or comprehensive list, but it just highlights some of those areas where it's going to be impacted. So the one that I just want to touch on, and just very briefly because we don't have a lot of time, is on healthcare. So if you take healthcare currently in South Africa, obviously cost of healthcare is quite significant. We've got a problem to access for healthcare to all citizens. But then we've also got an associated loss of productivity in the assets that we sit with, like hospitals, for instance. We've got a limited number of doctors, as an example. So we really needed to start thinking about how do we then apply AI across that full value chain. So if you just think about how do we actually create a patient record, okay? How do we do scheduling, for instance, for around appointments? How do we look at scheduling around hospital operations? Then we can go into supply chain, the problems that we're sitting with in terms of provisioning of medicine for care. How many patients are walking in, there's no medicine? Okay, how do we start better predicting? Then there's also things around diagnosis. We've got a limited number of doctors. How can we start assisting our doctors by actually doing a lot more early diagnosis and supporting them on that journey? And then the same with treatment. What sort of treatments are more effective for certain diseases? So hopefully you're catching the point in terms of how we're looking actually at dealing with certain value chains and solving problems within the healthcare systems. And those are only certain examples that we've raised. And similarly, we've got examples for all of the other industries as well. So although we're working with clients now into what all of these things mean to them and how they need to react to it, we also partner with them as to the risks also being posed from an ecosystem, a digital ecosystem. Okay, so we know within the digital ecosystem there's also external threats, things like cybercrime, fin crime, fraud, and so on. And for each of those different areas, I think those are the ones where AI has actually become a bit more mature. But there's a real opportunity there to also apply AI. The other area where we also as a firm start getting involved is more from a social ethical perspective. So you can think about the productivity examples that I've raised earlier. Obviously our talent pools need to change. We need to change organizations in terms of the talent that they have, the type of people that they recruit, how they actually come through universities as an example. Because if we don't start addressing that, then obviously we're going to have a social economic issue as well. So as a firm, although we're supporting them in terms of those, in what this means for them, helping them to shape their strategies, the investment cases, improving those investment cases, we also need to look at the alternative, which is the social, economic or ethical part of it. So that's sort of just a very quick summary from my side in terms of business applications. I'm more than happy to share a lot more with you. So just for the clients that are here, obviously if these things are keeping you awake at night, please come and speak to us. If you're part of the data science community, this is obviously, as you can see, the era for you. There's always going to be a lot to do. But I think what I want to encourage you as well is where we do start applying and looking for the application of AI, is that we always consider that social part as well and the ethical part. Because I think there's major areas that we can also address in society, typical problems like the healthcare one that I've raised, which is something that we can make a major contribution to. So with that, Jacques, thanks for the opportunity.
Great.
Yeah, thank you very much. I like this last slide. AI touches almost every aspect of our lives, and it's just getting started. And I truly believe it. The potential is amazing, and I think I've got this mission also, how to shape a better future in the smart technology era, because that's what we're doing with MIIA, and that's what we're trying to do with Cortex Logic and so some of the AI companies and so forth. But it's that's what PwC. It's just amazing to see all the companies and trying to make a difference in this space, and the potential is just great. So we need more. I know there's some representation of other AI companies here as well. That's also helping other partners as well. There's customers here, so I think it's very exciting. Okay, so what I want to do, I think this is a good. Just want to get out of full screen mode here. In the interest of time as well, because we've got Pierre and we've got Chris. What I would like to do, the topic of my talk is just around how do we operationalize big data analytics solutions, or AI, and that's also very much core to what we do in Cortex Logic as well. So Cortex Logic, just to its background, we've also partnered, we've got a joint business relationship with PwC as well, so we're working closely with them on this type of thing. So building solutions, operationalizing big data analytics. Now, this is not a talk about Cortex or PwC, it's just, I think what we want to do here is just to quickly highlight some of the things around how do you operationalize, and what do we mean by operationalization. So I've got a few slides just to illustrate that with real world use cases and things that we've done before. We've got really tons of use case studies that we can go through and show the specific values, and obviously Phillip, you've illustrated a few things which gives a nice perspective, but there's so much to share there. So I'm hoping in future meetups we can actually dig into that. We had in previous meetups, we're actually discussing some very specific problems where we've applied AI in solving that. So what I want to do, just very quickly, I've got one slide here. Let me just put it in full screen mode. And it kind of summarizes, we think about big data analytics, I think it's extremely important you start with the end in mind. You need to think about what are the things that you want to do from a business perspective, any kind of business. And what are the things that we talk about AI shaping, and what do you do? And we know we've got incredible amounts of data, and you're going to show a slide showing that basically the exponential increase in data, and then also data utilization. So data availability is going like that, but data utilization is still linear to a certain extent. So we're not using all the structured and unstructured data that's available. So the opportunities are really immense. But I think it needs to start with the business KPIs. You want to solve a problem. So this is kind of my way of just kind of summarizing a lot of those business KPIs across multiple industries. And this is also reflective of things that I've done with previous businesses, seasoned systems that are sold to General Electric. We did a lot of stuff on the left-hand side, where you think about companies not only in the financial services sector, but also manufacturing, industrial space. And for them, it's all about increasing productivity and revenue, reducing risk and lowering cost. Phillip mentioned preventative maintenance, I think that was a big use case. General Electric, for instance, their CEO, or previous CEO, Jeff Immel, I think he's still the CEO. I think he's in a transition. Is he X now? He's X now. Yeah, yes, that's right, he moved out. But he was always saying that yesterday we were a hardware company, today we are a software analytics company. So, and basically everything's becoming software defined and effectively smart software defined, or AI software defined. And they were just thinking about all the things that they're selling, their equipment, their turbines, their for aircraft, for generators, their MRI scanners, all sorts of different things, expensive equipment, but they've got so many sensors around that you can start defining and modeling that, and then you can start doing proper preventative maintenance around this. So they're selling all these contracts with their piece of equipment. So it's a key thing. So obviously C-Sense also played a role there. But reducing risk is like customer churn as well. So if I don't want to lose my customers, fraud, waste, and abuse, all of these risks, cybersecurity, all of that. So it can all fall into that bracket, so to speak. But there's also not only the operational efficiency that you want to increase, effectiveness, and all of that. I think probably the core of the value is there. But there's also strategic value where you can make faster, better, more proactive decisions. There's also a bunch of things that you can do with data as well. So you see a lot more platform businesses coming to the fore. The Ubers, the Airbnbs, Google, Facebook, they're all platform businesses. Some of them are multi-sided platform businesses. And there's all sorts of interesting revenue streams around this. If you look at Amazon, for instance, they're probably going to be the first $1 trillion company in market value. There's so many opportunities, and they're growing more and more. And I think that's the opportunity for a lot of customers is how do you take advantage of this? So what we do specifically with Cortex Logic, we are an AI engine for platform business and corporates. So we want to help those corporates and platform businesses in this regard. The other bucket that I've got here is really around enhancing customer experience and also the target sales and marketing. And I think this is where intelligent virtual assistants, robo-advisors, and those type of things come to the fore, and it can also help scale your solutions, because if you've got a proper 360-degree view, even if it's only 180, if you've got those tools in place, you can do proper real-time. This is the ideal scenario, but we are building towards that. Real-time, on-demand, digital, personalized service delivery. That's what we all want. We want people that knows what we need, and that is possible with the data and technology that's available right now. It's just a matter of building it. So there's things like improved risk selection, assessment, enhancing efficiencies. If you think about automated and augmented underwriting, those are all things that one can do with the data available right now and technology. And what I'm so excited, because I've been working, even if I think about the 2000s, I started my first company in 1998. It was all kind of proprietary C++, machine learning. These days, open source, much richer toolbox, especially with deep learning and stuff. A lot more data available. You can do cloud computing, all sorts of different things. So it's really, the sky's the limit. We need people to just execute, and you need, it's really, that's what it's about. So the other thing here is around reducing process times and costs, and targeting sales and marketing, because you've got more information, you can target things, you don't waste, you can remove the waste as well. Anyway, so this kind of summarizes a lot of that. I need to watch my time, so I'm going to be super quick. So what I want to maybe quickly want to show is just this. So, and I actually had a discussion here with guys from Bright Lab. Where are you? Somewhere. Okay. So, and we talked about this is specific use case around mobile money and the next generation mobile money marketplace. Where you can now determine risk, not just based on the typical history, credit history and stuff like that, but based on your call direct records, but based on your wallet behavior, those type of things. You can look at affordability, you can detect all those type of things based on those type of things. So this was an example kind of big data analytics solutions architecture that was critical to ensure that we can operationalize big data analytics and data science. I'm going to probably stop there. There's a few other slides that I want to show, but I'm going to just quickly describe this on a high level, and then we're going to move to the next speaker. So what you see here is an example of, I think the first point here is, you can't do proper AI, big data analytics, if you don't have rapid access to all the data. So a key thing, and what we didn't have this particular use case before, was data was scattered all over the place. So it was on-premise, it was a bit in the cloud, it was a bit there, and this person's laptop, and so forth. Very important to get all the data in one place, so you can, because for automation, this is critical. So you want to build those data pipelines. You want to make sure that you automate the data preparation. You want to scale around this. This is very important. So this particular instance, we had MNOs, mobile network operator data, like GSM data, call direct records, and wallets, behavior, wallet data. Then we also had product data. Product data is anything, if it's microloans or if it's insurance products, like what Sanlam or Old Mutual offer. And then there's external data as well. And you put it all in a proper data lake. And this is typically consists of structured, unstructured data. And you need to feed this. This is ongoing. So you've got your mobile network operators feeding, your product providers, you've got external data sources, you can stream this all in. Then I think very important after that is to make sure you've got a proper data warehouse that's built on top of that, where you actually get hold of the relevant information and build your feature libraries and all of that to enable automated data preparation and modeling. And there's a lot of reuse between things. If you want to do, say for instance, you want to, you can start off with building, say, credit risk models and affordability models and so forth, but you can refine that very quickly if you've got proper market segments. You do all of that, and you start having, for each market segment, you've got focus models for each of these. So you can refine, you can get more automated stuff. But for all of these things that I've listed there as well, there's a lot of all these predictive models and analytics that you want to do. There is a lot of reuse, because if you've got things sorted out, the moment you've got your data preparation sorted out and around specific things and the features that you've created, those type of things will obviously feed other models as well. So if you want to leverage that. So very important to have that in place. So what we also had here is not just, we actually, this was hosted in Amazon, so S3, Redshift, and then if you think about call direct records, millions of records per day. So basically you need in-memory processing as well, so using Spark, those type of things. So you need people that's skilled in using Scala or Python on that level as well, if you want to do things at scale. So more examples. So in this particular instance, we've used like Jupyter Notebooks, those type of things as well for some of the data science as well, but there's lots of tools available that one can use. But I think a key thing in terms of operationalization is what do you do with the predictions, the insights, all of that. It shouldn't just sit there. I get the feel when you go to corporates, there's a lot of analysis happening, but the data sits there and it's not closing the loop. It's not getting into an offer service where it's properly integrated. And for me, that's when I talk about operationalization of big data analytics AI, it's about all of this. It's starting with the data, by making sure you feed it, enrich it, and it's an ongoing process. You've got your data warehouses sorted out, your in-memory processing sorted out, you've got your predictive models running seamlessly off these things, and obviously you need to maintain, update. We believe in a champion-challenger approach. So you get your benchmark, and then you start improving on that. But the end result, these model predictions and stuff, obviously you can feed your analytic dashboards with this information. And that's what we did also in this particular instance. So you've got your dashboard that sits there. It's like automated analytics, so you can see in real time what's happening. But apart from that, the results needs to feed your offer services, for instance, how you interact with the customer. Now, if you think about intelligent virtual assistants and robot advisors, all these type of things as well, when we talk about 360-degree view, we talk about relevant information, you want to sell the right thing to the right person at the right time. So you want to make sure that this information you can actually feed into the system. So And there's so much that you can do on top there. So, but anyway, so this is what this is about. I'm gonna stop right here in the interest of time. So I want to get Pierre on board. So Pierre is heading up, he's got a company, Dimago, looking at data management as well, and he's got also the Data Science Academy. We're going to talk specifically about a Data Science Academy, yep. And so really looking forward to that. So I'm going to unplug here and hand over to you.
Trying to sort my remote out. There we go. Okay. Feels a bit like high-speed dating. Not that I know what that's like, but anyway. Let's wait. Let's do it this way. Remote is on. There we go. Good. So thanks. Just wanted to say, thanks for Jacques for the opportunity to introduce myself and our new initiative to the MIIA community. It's quite exciting and something we haven't been working on for a long time, but it's something that we're going to get stuck into going forward. So some of you might recognize me as the guy that came late to the last MIIA event. It was outed by Jacques when I got in, but I got you on time this time. Just a bit of background on myself before I get into our initiative, is that I actually come from a bit more business background. I studied to be a chartered accountant. So PwC, I feel right at home, not so at home with a bunch of machine learning and AI enthusiasts in front of me. But it's probably why one of the main reasons why we started this academy and why I wanted to get stuck into it. So I was initially introduced into the world of data in about 2006, coming out of the auditing world. Dropped my grey suit, got some colour, some cool socks. But back then it was SSIS, I was in the Microsoft world, data warehousing, the star schema, into cubes, and reporting in a lovely tool called ProClarity. Things have kind of moved on from there. There's been a lot of growth in the last 10 years, and I'll say specifically in the last 3, it's been flying. About 3 years ago, I started my own business called Dimago, and the whole idea was to introduce kind of groundbreaking and leading technologies into the corporate world in South Africa. I thought there were a lot of stuff out there that wasn't being used, and a lot of things that could be used to improve businesses. So I started with a data governance and master data management platform called Orchestra Networks, close to home, being my governance background in auditing. But then more recently moved into into a product called Alteryx, which is data blending and predictive analytics tool. And there I just really saw the progress and where things had moved on from where I was originally introduced into data. And discussing with businesses and corporates in South Africa, one of the key things that came out from a data analytics and the data science point of view specifically was a lack of skills. All the big corporates down in Cape Town, retailers, financial services up in Joburg, all of them came across with a similar thing, that there's a lack of skills. There's not enough people to execute on all the initiatives that they want to do, and there doesn't seem to be a pipeline that's big enough really to fill those needs. And Jacques stole my thunder a bit earlier. Here's the slide he was talking about. but what we wanted to get across here is just the availability of data, but not just data, but also the availability of technology to work with data is growing exponentially. There's new things that are getting launched every day, every year specifically, that enhance the capabilities. And everything these days is open source. You don't have to pay for the technology anymore, which makes it even more accessible. But human or people's utilization of that technology and data is not increasing at the same rate. If you look in businesses today, who's working in data science initiatives and advanced analytics initiatives? You've got a group of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people within a corporate of thousands that are involved in initiatives like that. And we just thinking that it needs to be bigger than that. It needs to be more people. Just the business of data, maybe backing that slide up a bit. The KD Nuggets is businesses will need over 1 million data scientists by 2018. Roles like Chief Data Officer and Chief Analytics Officer are being put in place to centralize the analytics initiatives within businesses. So that's something that's going to, just make it even more necessary. Data scientists is rated the best job in America for 2017. That just shows you how much, how much attention it's really getting. On a median base salary of around $120,000. My research in South Africa that I've done, your kind of mid-tier data scientists, developers getting between 1.2, 1.5 million a year, which is a lot of money. It just speaks to the scarcity of those resources at the moment. So it all ties together, and what I was seeing in businesses, and having a business background, not really a data science and AI background, I didn't have the deep knowledge, so I approached Jacques and said, listen, can you help me put some course material together? He said, well, you know what, we're trying to do a very similar thing, which is why we decided to launch the Data Science Academy. So a little bit of a story around the logo as well, is that when I was looking to put something together, I went out and I just Googled AI logo generation, and funny enough, a couple of sites popped up. So I went in there. You can do kind of a learning exercise where you select the logos you like, you do some modifications, and voila, you got a logo literally in a couple of minutes. So just again showing you the power that AI and these kind of technologies have. You don't have to go to some designer or somebody that knows Photoshop or something like that to get something done. It's really quite easy. It can get done in a couple of minutes. And then also, I think we have a pretty cool domain name there with datascienceacademy.ai. At the moment, just a landing page, but you can leave your details there. So getting to a little bit more into the detail, what's our curriculum going to focus on? And I'm sure a lot of you would have seen this image before. Just talking about the modern data scientist. Really the 4 pillars being maths, programming, domain knowledge, and communication visualization. So my background really focuses, the bottom 2, domain knowledge and communication and visualization. I've been involved in a lot of that in businesses, but I have very little, knowledge of the maths and statistics and programming and database. The stats that I did back in varsity was on those old computers. I can't remember what they were. Those calculators. I can't remember what they were called. But I actually saw somebody replicate that in Python the other day. They took all those programming things and just stuck it into a website in Python. So no need for those old calculators anymore. Anyway, so we can be focused on all those areas, and I think there's certain data scientists that come from a technology background that need assistance with communication and business understanding, and likewise business users that need the technical know-how. And my feeling is just that users across an entire organization need to be more aware of analytics and data science capabilities, and what can be derived from the data within organizations. That's when it's going to become really powerful. Leaving it to a group of trained specialists in an advanced analytics team isn't good enough. So how are we going to do it? We'll focus on corporate training, so customized corporate training, 5 to 10 days, helping people, specifically around citizen data scientists, helping citizen data scientists, people that want to get involved in data science but maybe don't have the program and the stats background. I think I'm very passionate about that, being from a business background. But then we will also do the skills, specific skills training. I think that's very important because the technology area is just moving so quickly today that you need to stay up to date. I saw another technology that was released literally just a month ago called, Dremio or something. I don't know if it's based on Apache something. I can't remember what it was. But it's almost just bringing all the data sources together into one area. So Hadoop, SQL, Oracle, whatever you have. So I mean, and again, it's open source, so it's not like you have to go and spend millions of dollars on a piece of software. Anybody can access it, download it today, and start using it. So we'll keep people up to date with the latest tech. Also look at boot camps, some more intense boot camps, potentially getting graduates out of university that are interested in data science and training them in intensive 3-month programs to come out into the corporate world ready and to engage with our corporate partners. So 1 to 2-day introductory courses. I think that's a critical thing, and something that Jacques and I believe in quite strongly is introducing data science and the abilities of advanced analytics to executives. That's where it needs to start, to drive that from the top down, so that the budgets and the time is given to the people that want to engage in it. 5-day deep dive courses, that's very topical for maybe a citizen data science that wants to get more understanding around statistical models and how to do basic regressions and things like that. And then also, as I said, looking into maybe 3-month more full-time programs as well. Something that I also feel quite passionate about is the hiring aspect. So once you're trained and you know what to do, how do you find a position that's in a company that values what a data science is and the value that they can bring to a business? So we'll also look to partner with strategic corporates in South Africa and internationally. One we're working with at the moment is a business called Klarna in Stockholm, and need a number of data scientists and engineers. Very interesting business in credit risk. And then also something I'm also quite passionate about is offshore. I think there's a huge opportunity for us to service the international market from an offshore, specifically with Europe being in the same time zone and so on. And I think South Africa is underutilized as a offshore business. We're unfortunately cheap as chips, but so that's benefits our UK guys. So so get in touch. I'm just adding to Jacques' 15 odd email domains that he's got. I'm sure you can get hold of him.
It's not correctly spelled there.
Is it not?
Data science.
No, it is. You're correct. I actually checked that. I don't know how I missed that. Anyway, the website is right. Yeah. Or you can just go to the website. It's just a landing page at the moment, but there are a couple of areas where you can just leave your details, your name if you're interested. We'll keep you up to date with newsletters and so on. But I'm quite excited about it, and looking forward to get it going. So, thank you.
Yeah, so sorry, Chris, Currin, so quick introduction stuff. He's actually speaking at a few events. So he's going to speak also at not Launch Lab, but you're going to be in Sandton, and you're going to be at the Deep Learning in Durban. So he's doing his PhD in neuroscience at UCT. And where are you now? So second year?
It's my third year of research.
So when are you going to get your PhD?
End of next year.
Yes. Okay, cool. Where's your study leader?
He's okay. Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Okay, go for it.
Cool. Thank you so much. Great to be here. I don't have much time. I have until 9:15, I think it was. So I only have 2 hours. Don't have a lot of time. So there's going to be a laser pointer this side and guesswork that side where I'm pointing. So I'm doing a PhD in Computational Neuroscience. That's a different talk. I'm not going to explain what that is. In general, I do intelligence and intelligent systems. So that's neuroscience and AI. An AI mentor at Udacity and iExperience in Cape Town. And then independent contractor at Q Division. So the outline of the talk, I'm going to give a definition and a modern framework about what chatbots are, then why chatbots and why now, at this point in time, use cases and examples, and then how to build one. And we have an option there, accessible or the technical aspect. Okay, so bear that in mind while we get there, and then I'm going to end off with some important considerations to have. So, definition, what is a chatbot? So, the definition online, it says human-computer dialogue systems with natural language. No intelligence included. Okay, that leads to a lot of misconceptions, but no intelligence included in the formal definition. So I've included the robots as well and highlighted the bottom bit that says robot means forced labor. Oh, it also has a South African definition as well, some instead of traffic lights. Where chatbots sit in is a chatting robot, right? So you take a robot, start to chat, you get a chatbot, kind of. Then you need to add some context or intelligence. Okay, and then you get some virtual assistants. From there, if you add in some instruction or advanced intelligence, then you can actually go on to do something for advisors, which is more proactive rather than reactive. Okay, so that's like the old definition of chatbots, but we realize it needs to be a little bit more advanced than this in the modern age. So a new definition includes that it has to be a dialogic agent, a rational agent, and an embodied agent. Okay, dialogic must understand the user and be able to interact with it, provide a function of comprehension. Rational agents must have an external base of knowledge. Also useful to have context involved as well, so it actually knows who the user is and how to respond to them. And finally, an embodied agent. They knew this at the first chatbots, when they were developed in the 1960s, I think it was. Eliza, right? Given a name. Given a persona, allows the user to trust it. Okay? With the new definition and advancement, they needed new techniques for evaluation. So a new proposal for how to evaluate how good a chatbot actually is through these aspects over here. So ease of use, clarity, naturalness, friendliness, robustness, and then finally, are users actually willing to engage with it? Okay, so why do you want a chatbot? Here are some very good reasons why you think you want a chatbot. In 2015 or end of 2015, maybe 2016, more users are on the messaging platforms than on all the social media platforms. Okay, people also have an app fatigue, so they only use about 3 or 4 apps a day, and they're the same 3 or 4 apps. So many people don't use them. The chatbot allows you to have instant access to this large user base of people on messaging platforms. You also get increased user engagement, and that corresponds to higher open rates. So people are used to receiving messages from their friends. Chatbot messages them, oh, it's a friend, kind of. Then they're also very useful for dumb, dull, and dangerous tasks. Customer service, a lot of them are the same question, about 95% I think are the same question that people, or similar small set of questions that people say over and over again. So that's very useful. But why you probably actually want a chatbot is because someone said they were cool, right? They seem entertaining, they seem fun. It seemed like a good marketing experiment. And also, you heard that AI is pretty good, it's amazing, and chatbots are only really the only accessible AI technology to a layman, right? It's quite difficult to conceptually understand what AI is. If you can't touch it, you can't interact with it, and that's where a chatbot can actually come in. You can interact with an AI. How many of you have seen the Gartner hype cycle before?
No.
Okay, fair amount. X-axis is time, y-axis is expectation. So initially a new technology comes along and there's a lot of expectation, delivers on quite a bit of promises, but then people realize actually it's not all cracked up to be. There's certain expectations we had that it didn't meet, and then it reaches the trap of disillusionment. Okay? After that, people are like, well, it was actually a good technology. It comes back a bit, so there's a slope of enlightenment, and finally plateau of productivity. So the reason chatbots are useful now is there are 6 aspects on this hype cycle that relate to chatbots. Okay? And they're at different stages on this hype cycle, which means it's going to be a long-lasting technology. Further, going into chatbots now, you can have experimentation, you can try things out, see if it works, and with that you can become a pioneer and invent new techniques. Of course, it's so new. Further, users are demanding increased personalization for their services, and chatbots do allow that very, very well. Talking to data science, this is data growth, about 100% year on year. Most of that as well is more than 80% unstructured data. And it's, obviously you get a large, well, hopefully large data analytics teams, data science teams, but to make it really accessible and people not wanting to just look at spreadsheets or graphs, sometimes chatbots makes things that much more accessible. Okay. However, it's not for Rosie. You do get the trap of disillusionment. And here are 3 main types. False expectations. So the definition of a Twitter bot says just something that interacts with the Twitter API. no intelligence. So people expect chatbot intelligence, they get a Twitter bot, and then they have there's a false expectation, so they get frustrated. Further, I'm sure you've typed in something to Siri that it didn't understand. Again, frustrations. Okay. Then you get some wrong fit examples over here. You have to message this to see what the weather is. 6 words, 4 words, does it in a much better visualization manner. So sometimes you don't need a chatbot. You just stick with what is there already. Then there's the last category, the but why category. Meow, but why? Okay. Use cases, Jacques should recognize this. So there's a whole bunch of use cases: financial services, medicine, education, retail, call centers, travel agents, etc. I made one yesterday just with a resume. Like in general, chatbots and AI are really well suited to the dumb, dull, and dangerous tasks, basically. So some examples: local one is Spin Chatbot, so they do insurance really well. That's the example on the right. There's also Abe.AI, been incubated at Barclays Rise. They do banking and personalization of banking through a chatbot. There's Wobot, which is a chatbot that Stanford built for, basically it's a psychologist for depressive patients. Then Dr.AI Auntie, that's the Knorr Facebook Messenger bot where you input your ingredients and it tells you what you can make. And then Mitsuku, which is really good at a general chatting. So it won the Lubna Prize, which is the best agent for passing the Turing test. So it's the most convincing chatbot. And I've also included here on the left an example where there should be a chatbot but isn't. Because you might have seen on a few websites you get this chat interface, and it either says active or replies within a few minutes, you message, and then a few minutes later you get no reply, and it says enter your email address. And it's like, actually I just wanted to know something really simple. Just have a basic chatbot to give basic information and then hand off to a human later. But that expectation isn't quite met. If you want to have a chat interface, you should be chatting, right? Okay, so this slide is about building chatbots. So you want to build a chatbot, and there's some important considerations you should make. So the first one is fast versus slow thinking of the user. Okay, so do users have to think about their response? You don't want to be typing in your name, your surname, date of birth, maiden name, first pet's name. You can do that in a form in one go. Chatbot is not a good interface for that. But something slower, like what insurance plan do you want? That's slower thinking, and that is a good use case for building a chatbot for. Then is your chatbot going to have long or short conversations? That depends on the complexity of how you're going to design your system, how much memory it's actually going to have. Are you going to have open or closed domain, or more like how many questions is your chatbot going to be able to answer in what domains? So those are very important considerations to have before you even go build one. Okay, how to build a clever chatbot. So I have 2 options here, accessible and technical, and they're going to be determined by the audience. First question, what does NLP stand for? Who thinks it stands for Neural Linguistic Programming, and who thinks it stands for Natural Language Processing?
Latter.
Okay, latter. First one? No? Cool, stands for both. And they're both really relevant for chatbots, so good to know. And then the second one, who is responsible for chatbot development? Options are developers, marketers, design team, or sales team. Developers? Yeah, some hands, yeah. Designers? Marketers? Okay, all mixed, most people saying I don't know. Okay. Let's go. Who has heard of an LSTM before? Who has built an LSTM before? Okay, I'm going to go with accessible. Cool. I may not have had technical slides. No, I'm kidding. I did. Okay, so here are some examples. You get Microsoft, you get ChatFuel, Motion AI, IBM Watson, And then Facebook Messenger, I just gave an example of chat extensions, which means that you can import chatbot functionality to a conversation with your friend, which makes it really powerful, right? So you have some options for building a chatbot. Okay. You can do it purely off the shelf and just throw it into your organization. Hopefully they implement it well. Example, there's Chatbots.ai, which is an enterprise operations assistant. Does a whole bunch of stuff, mainly customer service focused. Seems pretty good. Other options include like some configuration. So you can have Watson virtual agents. It's about $265 per month. You can configure it fairly well. Also comes pre-trained, the whole corpus of information already. Really useful. You can also customize things a bit more. But you can customize it purely with a dashboard. An example, there's Watson Conversation, using their API or using purely their dashboard. Add in some programming, you get Motion AI. Again, you can do that purely with a dashboard, but programming makes it slightly more powerful. That's just a little programming. If you want a lot of programming, you probably best to just go from scratch, which has all sorts of complications, but it's usually insane. Okay. Architecture of a chatbot, really, really high level. Really high level. You build your chatbot, it's accessible to many channels. And in this case, this is Motion AI. This is an example of the chatbot, and this is an example of where you can launch it. And it does most of, or gives you the code, or does most of the launching for you. So you worry about how do you build the chatbot, it worries about how people access it, which is really, really great. You can also add in some intelligence to this Motion AI one, but it's not that great. So again, depends on what your use case is, how advanced you need to go. This is the general structure. Autobot connected to some channels and have some interactions. An example here is IBM Watson Conversation. So this is how you build a chatbot using Watson Conversation. And my fiance was kind enough to build one for me over like the past few days, and this is what she did. So initially she defined the intent of what the user wants to do. The example on the Watson website is in a car, turn on the lights. So your intent is turn on, okay? And your utterance is switch them on or something. So you map what the user says with what they want to do, and you give a whole bunch of training examples. So in another example would be hello is the intent. An example would be how's it, what's up, yo. Literally, they have these already on, a lot already. South African is really strange. There's some very peculiar terms. I don't think any chatbot will ever be able to understand now. That's like super artificial intelligence right there. Okay, so you split your training, you split your data up, your examples into training examples, and then you need to make sure that it actually does what it's meant to do. So you provide some test examples as well. So yeah, throw in the training, data, click a button called train, wait a bit, depends how much you have and how long it takes, and then you see how well it works. Doesn't perform too well, give it more examples, basically. If it does perform well, then let it out to the world and hopefully it works. Yeah. I don't say hope, test, there's a loop. Yeah. Have people interact with it, see how it performs, get what people actually say versus what you thought they would say, all sorts of things. I've included on here as well. So this is, even though it's a dashboard view, every single chatbot should have considerations for language. And a lot of people will neglect this. So communication strategies, language tricks, dialogue design principles, human imitation strategies, and personality development of the chatbot are all important things that you should have when designing a chatbot, whether or not you've coded it like in yourself or not, or if you use a pre-built one, or you just drag and drop. Have some language knowledge as well, because it does influence how people respond. It's not just another interface to interact with people. I'll talk a little bit more about that now. So, final one, after you have your chatbot, you can start moving on to voice user interfaces, which makes things slightly less device central, and you can have things that or more around you. This is Alexa. You can see a lot of these examples are really, really simple. These are just apps that they've translated into Alexa thing. So this is another reason why chatbot disillusionment is so real, because people are translating their apps to a chatbot and they're not thinking about what a chatbot can actually do and how it impacts people's responses. Okay, so that was how to build one very simply, but there are very important considerations that should be had while you're building it. It's not just an unbiased interface. What do I mean by that? People mimic and project onto the chatbot. Number one thing people say to chatbots is thank you. Have you ever thanked an app before? Right? People project their personality and project what they think the personality of the chatbot is, even if it wasn't designed into it. So there's also another example of voice attractiveness. Some people find certain voices more attractive, more authoritative, more calming, more soothing. Okay? Chatbots are amazing because they have human likeness, but they also remove embarrassment. People are embarrassed to ask what the checkout time at a hotel is. They're going to ask once, and if they forget, they're just going to guess. But if you have a chatbot, when a hotel does, they get asked that a lot. So bear that in mind, that there's a great mix between having a human engagement, interaction, trust environment with the chatbot, but you remove a lot of the embarrassment that you normally wouldn't chat with a person. Another example is that robot with a psychologist basically in a chatbot interface. Also phrasing and ordering of what you say and how you say things. So you can frame certain options, or you can have temptation bundling. These are important considerations when you're building it. Further, there's context, the human context and the chat context. People need to know they're talking to a chatbot. If they start talking like they do to a friend, it makes it harder for the chatbot to understand them. And there's also another sense of false expectation. So make sure the expectation is set at the beginning. Then the personality of the chatbot makes a difference. There's also intention and diversity. Apparently Google's smart reply tended to respond with "I love you" to almost everything, no matter what was in the email. So have some diversity. They get the intention across. Further, another pain point is handing off. When the chatbot isn't sufficient enough to handle the request, give it to a human and do that in a smooth manner. Alexa apparently can't do that too well. Google Home apparently can, but that's a very important consideration to have as well, because at some point your chatbot's going to fail, and it should fail gracefully. Finally, the whole is summer. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Okay, so put all these components of a chatbot together, and you have a human talking to it, and it's suddenly greater. Okay, it's not just another interface, and it's not just another marketing channel. It needs to be considered, and it has a lot of power to provide, especially because it can be powered by AI and bring across AI in an accessible manner. Finally, chatbot development is too important to be left to developers, or designers, or copywriters, or marketers, etc. So I'm glad there were a few hands with records. It was like, yeah, it's all of them. Exactly right. You need a team. There was an example in a few talks ago. They had 10 people, I think, on the chatbot. 8 of them were linguists. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So bear these in mind when you're building one. It's relatively easy to build, right? But it's difficult to do well. And if you want to go through the technical part, I actually do have a few slides. You can look at it afterwards. But thank you so much for your time. This is my Oxford supervisor. I did a stint there. This is my UCT supervisor. Thanks for MIIA. Learned through Udacity, do some contracting work at Q Division. Then next week there's a really cool talk, Limits of Intelligence. We're going to be talking about AI and talking about some neuroscience as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome chat to talk. I think we have to stop now, but I just want to say if there's any questions, anything, because we didn't really properly give an opportunity for questions and answers. Are there any questions? We can always socialize and ask them in person, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay, great. So yeah, the next step here is, do you want to maybe announce?
Well, it's not much of an announcement. But first of all, thanks to all the presenters and thanks to all of you for attending. We were going to head upstairs to the rooftop bar, but it's winter in Cape Town, so we brought the bar downstairs. So you can just head outside. There'll be some desserts, the leftover food from before, and there'll be a bar service, beers, wine, etc. So feel free to hang around, to chat, to meet people you don't already know, and to come up to the presenters and ask them questions that perhaps didn't come to mind before, or that you weren't comfortable asking in front of the crowd. But thanks again for attending, and thanks to Jacques and the team.
Great, thank you. Thanks.